స్పర్శతో నన్ను కరుణించుము దేవా నీ స్పర్శతో నన్ను దీవించుము దేవా నీ స్పర్శతో నన్ను తాకుము.
Good morning, dear friends. Today I am going to speak about the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 14, verses 1 to 12. Herod had John arrested and he had him beheaded in the prison. Today's Gospel recounts a tragic and sobering moment, the beheading of John the Baptist. Herod, caught between fear and pride and the manipulation of others, chooses to silence the truth rather than face it. John had spoken boldly and fearlessly, calling out injustice and sin, even at great personal cost. This passage challenges us to examine our own response to truth and consciousness. Are we willing to stand up for what is right, even when it is unpopular or dangerous? Or do we, like Herod, allow fear of others' opinions and pressures to silence our convictions? John's life and death reminds us that faithfulness to God often demands sacrifice, yet even in death, his witnesses shines. The Gospel calls us not to be passive in the face of evil, but to speak the truth with love and courage. Where in my personal life am I being called to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable? And do I allow fear or pride to guide my decisions like Herod? Am I willing to follow Christ even when it costs me popularity, comfort, and safety? The John the Baptist was faithful in his mission until the end. He spoke the truth not to condemn, but to call people back to God. His death reminds us that following Christ may lead us into difficult times and even dangerous situations. Discipleship is not always about comfort, it is about commitment. Are we ready to follow Jesus even when it costs us the dangerous situations? This Gospel also highlights how negative influences like that of Herodias and her daughter can lead to tragic consequences. Herod knew John was a righteous man, but he gave in the pride and pressure. It's to remind that to be careful of whom we allow to influence our hearts. Are we listening to the voices that draw us closer to God or away from Him? Though John is silent in his passage, his life speaks volumes. His courage, integrity, and faith still inspires us today. Sometimes, even when our words are silenced, our examples can speak louder. Is my life a witness to God's truth and justice, even when I say nothing? Herod's consciousness was troubled, but not strong enough to overcome his pride. He knew the right thing, but asked him the courage to do it. This moment reminds us how fragile our conscience can be when we compromise too often. Do I listen to my conscience or silence it when it's inconvenient? John the Baptist's life was a loud proclamation of truth, and his death was a seed of courage for future. May we draw strength from his example to live with boldness and honesty in our own lives too. John stood alone in truth, even when it meant facing a king. He had also a crowd cheering him on, no safety net, only God. His story reminds us that sometimes the walk of righteousness is a lonely path, but when we stand alone with God, we are never truly alone. Will I choose truth even if no one else stands with me? John sat in the prison for a long time before his execution. He may be having wondered why God was silent or why justice was delayed, but his waiting was not wasted. It was a witness. In our own lives, when God seems slow to act, we must remind that His timings is always purposeful. Can I trust God even in the silence? Herod feared John's holiness. He recognized something pure and powerful in him, even if he didn't obey it. But truth, holiness leaves a mark, even on hardened hearts. Does my life shine in such a way that even others who don't believe can see God's own hand? Let us pray that, Lord, give me the courage of John the Baptist to stand for truth no matter the cost. Help me to root and trust in you than to fear others. May I live with dignity and integrity to speak with love. Thank you.